So it's glad to have you join us today. I remain your host, Daniel Micah. And in today's episode of the continuation of linking resources, we'll be talking about alternative CSS. Remember to subscribe to this channel to receive updates of our upcoming episodes. So, some browsers allow alternative style sheets to apply if they are offered. By default, they are not being applied. Usually, they can be changed through the browser's settings. But Firefox browsers lets users to select the style sheets using the view, that is by going to the view um, page style submenu in Internet Explorer. Also, we can also change that setting. So to achieve that, we just apply to the relationship attributes of the link tag. We specify the type of this CSS file. That's why let's say alternative style sheet. But by default, the relationship attribute takes the value of just style sheet. By default, it should take the value of just style sheet. But when you're specifying an alternative style sheet, then you specify this alternative style sheet. That's it for the alternative style sheet. Like I told you, by default, it's not being loaded on the browser. But in cases where there are no style sheet, or maybe your site is unable to locate the main style sheet, such as the one we have, desktop.styles or mobile-styles.css. If your site cannot be able to locate those files, then this alternative style sheet will be used if it is also accessible. That is, if the browser is able to locate it too. The next thing we'll be talking about right now is resource hints, DNS prefetch, and pre-render. So the first thing I should be explaining to you right now is pre-connect. What's pre-connect? The pre-connect relationship is similar to the DNS prefetch in that it will resolve the DNS. However, it will also make the TCP handshake and the TLS negotiation. This is an experimental feature. The TCP and TLS handshake you just heard me talk about are actions that go on behind the scenes before any web page is being displayed to you. So it's like, sell me, okay, I go to a supermarket and say I want to buy a mouse, for instance, and the owner of the shop then gave me the mouse, and I gave the person money in return. So in doing so, we've exchanged something, right? He gave me the mouse and I gave him the money. So we exchanged something. He presented me with the mouse and I also gave him the money in return. So in that case, we shook our hands, right? Before, I mean, after the transaction, we then shook hands. So those are things that go on behind the scene before any web page is being loaded. So sometimes if you look below if you want to notice that, if you look below your screen when a particular page is loading at the left hand side, the lower left hand side, you will see something like waiting for so site or performing TLS handshake. You will see those things written below there. So the pre-connect relationship is similar to the DNS prefetch. It will resolve the DNS. However, it will also make the TCP handshake an optional TLS negotiation. This is an experimental feature before any website or any web page is being loaded. So to use the pre-connect value, we use it for the link tag. It's being used for the link tag on the relationship attributes. Its value will be pre-connect. So that's the value for this part, for this one. So it's similar to the DNS prefetch. The DNS prefetch in a situation where it's trying to test the network. It's trying to test the network to fetch a particular document. So a DNS prefetch is being conducted to test the URL if it is active or not. So the DNS prefetch informs the browser to resolve the DNS for a particular URL, so all access from that URL loads faster. So it just checks and informs the browser that social documents are available. Yes, they are available. The browser then loads it. That's what it does. So to do that, we also specify that value right here on the relationship attribute as DNS hyphen prefetch. That's just it. Now the next one I should be telling you right now is the prefetch, which informs the browser that a given resource should be prefetched so it could be loaded more quickly. That is to say, when you are linking a document or an image from an external site, the prefetch, what it does is it automatically fetches that particular document or file before the entire site is being loaded. So it automatically fetches that and informs the browser that this document is available. So when the browser is loading that particular web page, it becomes faster. So the pre-render informs the browser to fetch and render the URL in the background. Like I told you, all this happens behind the scene. So they can be delivered to the user instantaneously as the user navigates to the URL. This is an experimental feature also. Now, the current React was actually developed in such a manner, that is to say, it fetches everything from the server down to the browser, and every other thing can be manipulated based on the browser without affecting without calling the server, without bugging the server with too many requests. So every other thing can be manipulated on the browser. Then whenever there's an update, that's the only time you query your server. So this DNS prefetch and preconnect, they do similar stuff. So the pre-render attribute informs the browser to fetch and render the URL in the background so that they can be delivered to the user instantaneously as the user navigates to that URL. To write the pre-render value, it also goes into the relationship attributes as pre-render. Pre-render. That's just it. The next thing we'll be talking about right now is the link and the media attributes. I mean the media attributes on the link tag. Yes. Remember we wrote a media attribute on the link tag. We did that. What it does is specifies what style sheet should be used for that type of media. I told you that. Yes. What style sheets should be used for that type of media? I told you that the media attribute is used to specify what particular style sheet should be used for that media. That is for that device. That's why I created the mobile style, and the desktop style.css. So in whichever case, either an iOS or an Android, a desktop or a laptop or a tablet device, whatever style sheet you want to load on that particular type of device or that particular kind of device, you use the media attribute to specify that. So moving on, the next thing I should be telling you right now is the previous and the next. Their values of the relationship attribute of the link tag. When a page is part of a series of articles, for instance, one can use the previous and next attributes. I mean, previous and next values to point to that pages that are coming before or after. So to use that, we just specify the value here as prev for the previous attributes or for the previous documents in the article or next. The next thing we're talking about right now is the web feed. And with this, we come to the end of linking resources. The web feed uses The rel alternative is an attribute, is a value of the relationship attribute to allow discoverability of your Atom RSS feed. I really don't know what it does, but it's been created just like this. Alternative. When you hear me say I don't actually know what it does, that's simply because over the years I've not actually seen any site that uses this relationship alternative or the web feed. I've not really seen any site that uses it that much. It's not frequently used. So even I myself, I don't usually use it. So, but I'm just telling you about it. Its type value, the type value, it's not text.cs/css. We either have application /atom plus XML. I think this is actually working with HTML4. That's where it should be working properly. That's what I think. Or RSS plus XML. Then you provide the path to an XML file in your href instead of the CSS. This time we then pass um, the path to the XML file. XML file, yes, to an XML file. HTTP, for instance, example.com/feed.xml. So that's just it for the web feed, and we've come to the end of linking resources in HTML. I'm glad to have you join me on this episode. Do have a nice day, and remember to subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notification icon to receive updates on upcoming episodes. And in our next episode, we'll be talking about JavaScript, including JavaScript code in HTML. I believe you want to watch that. So sit back and stay updated. Bye for now.